Morning guys, I am down on Hastings beach with the fishing villages and got the RX-10 with me. Just thought I'd come down and snap a few shots. It's quite picturesque as it is, and quite a bit of character, and obviously a lot of history as well, which is nice. It's quite a nice morning, it's calm. I've flown the drone out to see a little bit as well, and yeah, just a nice morning really. I'll come for a little walk. The RX-10 was outside the museum. So, some cool old bulldozers and stuff that they push the boats around with. Obviously some of the big boats that are in use all the time. I'm just going to try and be a little bit artistic. These boats always look really picturesque when you have the sea in the background and stuff like that. So, but it's just wondering, do you have colour? Do you have black and white? So, you know, I try and mix it up a little bit. The old bulldozer, caterpillar, always looks quite cool. Bit of rust, bit of texture, always good for photography as well. Not really sure it works that well in black and white. This shot does though. Quite a classic shot really, probably been taken thousands of times by lots of different people. This old boat here that's still sort of, I'm guessing, slowly rotting away. Sadly, RX-10's not here anymore. I'm sure it was here. I'm sure I've got a photo of it. I'll have to have a little dig and see if I can find it. But loads of fishing history. Is there a picture on here though of RX-10? That's the question. RX-18, no. Nope. Oh, there's a little fishing boat going out to sea there. It was quite hazy. Heat haze was building up quite quickly, but still a beautiful morning as you can see here. I flew the drone out a few hundred metres I suppose, and it looked really, really cool. And I thought, oh, I'll do a little bit of artistic flying, fly in and down the sea wall. I used to like it when it was minus the rocks, so it was all a bit rustic looking and archways and stuff. It always looked quite cool, and used to try and get the sun setting down through it, and unfortunately they built it up with the rocks now. But yeah, no, fantastic thing there. And then just randomly discovered this lady doing some kind of yoga or some kind of exercise kind of thing. It was quite cool, and her hair swishing around looked quite fun. Yeah, so a few people walking their dogs on the beach. Really lovely morning, perfect weather, a little bit of a breeze, but nothing major whatsoever. Very, very calm. Yeah, just absolutely lovely. And just the fishing village always looks interesting. And even from the air, I've not really flown above Hastings much in the past, but I thought, you know what, might as well. I'm down there early anyway, so I was delivering a few things. Just they always look cool, sort of interesting. Obviously, it's a very old tradition down here. It's been doing it for a long, long time. Some of the boats have been modernised and things over the years, but they still drag the boats up the beach. You know, nothing's really changed in that part. Obviously, the boats have got bigger, but yeah, no, it was kind of cool. It was just a really pleasant morning and much quieter than I thought. I thought it would have been a lot busier. Hardly anybody there at all, as you can see. But yeah, it was yeah, very, very pleasant. And I thought, oh no, I'll fly up the beach a little bit and maybe get a few pictures of the sort of amusement area and the crazy golf as well. So yeah, as you can see here, the reflections and everything on the boating lake there. It's quite cool. The roller coastery type thing. I didn't realise there was an aeroplane on a big long white pole thing. I'm not sure how that spins around or whatever. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I just did a few sweeping views really, and it was just really nice to actually see it from the air, because you suddenly realise how colourful Hastings is. All the buildings and everything, you know, there's multiple colours paint jobs and the roofs and everything. It's just really quite interesting. And that road, the London road that goes up to War Village, I never really realised, even though I've driven it hundreds of times, you never really realise how curvy it is. You just think it's relatively straight. Actually, it's not. Up onto the hills there, and just looking down, really, it was just a very, very pleasant view, and the old rocks and everything like that. I'd love to go back in time to actually see Hastings as, 5, 6, 7, 800 years ago. When it was obviously a lot more new back then, compared to some of the history we've got here now. The golf course there. I took a few photos, which you'll see at the end, with the drone. I thought I would do a sort of view down, looking at the golf course. I didn't actually take a photo, and I don't know why. I think I either forgot or I just got engrossed in actually trying to get it right, and I actually forgot to take a photo. But it looks quite cool. Looking down at it, it was pretty interesting. I'd go almost up to the limit of the maximum sort of legal height for drone use, but it wasn't quite there. It was about 105 metres. But what a view! You can really, if you want to know what the course looks like from above, there you go. And you want a few secret tips and how to look at the actual each putting bit. Here we go. But yeah, so and then looking down towards Bexhill in the distance, and then I don't think I could quite see Eastbourne. A bit too hazy. The castle I've never actually seen from the air, not properly anyway, and I should have flown over there a little bit maybe. But it was just interesting, the buildings nearby and the actual castle I don't think I've been to. I know it's a bit of a wreck, but I've not been to there, I don't think, since I was a kid. Those rocks and everything are there, just obviously quite cool. But yeah, no, just really interesting, isn't it? It's a view that we don't generally have, and obviously there's other drone pilots out there who fly around this area quite a lot, and but for me, I haven't really done this area much before, so I thought, what, I really need to. So it was a very pleasant flight, really. And then I thought, actually, I'm going to fly over to the lift, or the East Hill lift, which I think isn't actually working because I couldn't see any of the carriages. But I thought utilising the 2x zoom on the Mini 3 Pro. So I fly the DJI Mini 3 Pro, fantastic little drone. It's awesome, I've had other ones in the past, but this one works so well. And you've got a lot less restrictions, which is great for flying over built-up areas like this, so you can actually do it without any real drama, as long as you're sensible and respect it and everything. So, yeah, you obviously got East Hill there, and I thought, it'd be quite cinematic if I can go down a bit and then fly past the rocks and everything whilst zoomed in. So I'm actually quite a long way away from actually the cliff, even though it looks like I'm quite close. And as you come round, you get that perspective change, and it does look quite interesting because you've got something in the foreground and obviously lots of stuff in the background moving, and it just looks kind of cool, but also really interesting actually to have a look at the rock formations and the way the plants and stuff have grown over the years. But as you can see there, we've got the top there of the building at the top there, and everything else moving around behind it, and it looks really quite dramatic because everything's moving at different rates as such. It kind of gives you that impression. So it's quite cool, and then I can zoom back out to the wide angle version, and I'm just flying backwards, slightly out to sea, sort of a little bit. But I just thought it looked really quite cool. It was just a bit of fun, trying to be a little bit artistic with the flying, trying to be smooth, and I think that's with drones, you need to really set them up quite well, so you've got a lot smoother movements with the sticks. Otherwise, you get a bit of a sharp, jagged sort of movements, and it can look a bit rough and ready as such. But what a fantastic morning, absolutely beautiful. Sun was up, I think this was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and then the end of the seawall there. Many times I've seen surfers surfing down the side of this and jumping off into the water, and you suddenly realise how deep it is when it's really high, but also how shallow it is when it's really low. And then I thought, well, let's fly nice and low across the water, even though I'm still about 10 foot. Yeah, just to give it a little bit of a different look as well, and watch the waves. But that's utilising the 2x zoom. You can sort of be a bit safer with the drone, because they don't really like water, obviously. But the sensors underneath can get a little bit confused with the reflections, and because the water's moving, it can cause you trouble. So if you're below 3 meters off water, you can end up with a drone that's trying to land all the time, because it thinks there's nothing there, so it tries to come down. But yeah, it was really, really pleasant. I just love the way the waves are actually crashing in, but with a white trail behind them, almost like a triangular shape. Yeah, so I just flew around. You kind of run out of ideas after a few moments, so I ended up going around in circles a couple of times, trying to find the best colours as well. I didn't bring any ND filters with me, which was a shame. I should have done, but I forgot. But yeah, the water itself was still very pleasant looking. Seagulls, again, a little bit stressed about the drone, or trying to warn me a little bit. A couple flew relatively close, but they don't really go too close to it in the long run. But yeah, fantastic flight. Nice little visit down there in the morning. So if you are into photography or just like the area, it's well worth a wander along the beach in the morning, especially the fishing village. It's interesting, and quite often you see boats going in and out. Unfortunately, nothing was launched, or nothing came back in while I was there, which would have been a shame, because it would have been quite nice to have flown with a boat coming in as well, which would have been rather nice to have seen. You normally get all the seagulls flying behind it, trying to get all the scraps and stuff off the fish, off the boat. So yeah, here's a few photos near the end that I had taken. Nothing spectacular, but if you like the video, please leave some comments below. And also, don't forget to click that subscribe button as well. Carry on, have a look at some other of my photos. Here's a little go-karting track from above. I always think it was quite cool. And then zoomed in a little bit there as well, just out of interest. It was quite interesting. One of the boating lakes there. And it's a part of Hastings. I just thought it was a little bit colourful, interesting roof colours and buildings and things there. Yeah, so anyway, hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you later, and take care.